Imagine a world where the quiet decisions made behind closed doors shape the future of entire continents. Deals are signed, partnerships are forged, and new alliances begin, not with fanfare, but with a knowing handshake and a shared vision. Today, there's a country stepping into this silent spotlight, a nation that for years was underestimated, often spoken about for its struggles rather than its strengths, is now finding itself at the center of attention from world leaders. This isn't about headlines or dramatic speeches. It's about subtle shifts, strategic moves, and a growing realization that this nation holds keys to trade, security, energy, and influence that the world cannot ignore. As we unfold this story, you'll see why the most powerful capitals in the world, Washington, Beijing, Brussels, Moscow, Riyadh, are quietly turning toward the same place. By the end of this journey, you won't just understand why it's happening, you'll see how it could reshape the future of global politics, economics, and power itself. So stay with me, because what you're about to hear might just change how you see the world map forever. Pakistan occupies one of the most strategically significant locations on Earth, a fact that has quietly begun to reshape how world leaders view it. Nestled between South Asia, Central Asia, and the Middle East, it sits at the very junction where some of the most important trade, energy, and security corridors intersect. To its north lie the resource-rich Central Asian republics, still largely untapped, but holding enormous reserves of oil, gas, and minerals. To its west, Iran and the broader Middle East offer both energy supplies and strategic waterways, like the Strait of Hormuz. To its east is India, one of the world's largest consumer markets. And to the south, Pakistan's Arabian Sea coastline opens directly to the world's busiest maritime trade routes. This position gives Pakistan a unique leverage point. It is not merely a participant in global trade, it is a potential gatekeeper. The Gwadar port, located at the mouth of the Persian Gulf, is only about 600 kilometers from the Strait of Hormuz, through which nearly a third of the world's oil passes. For countries in Europe looking for reliable energy supplies or shorter supply chains to Asia and Africa, the ability to move goods through Pakistan's ports rather than longer, costlier routes is an attractive proposition. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC, amplifies this importance, creating a direct land bridge between Western China and the Arabian Sea, bypassing the vulnerable Malacca Strait. Geography also grants Pakistan influence beyond trade. It stands at the convergence of regions that have historically been flashpoints for conflict and negotiation. Afghanistan to the northwest, Iran to the west, and India to the east all have long-standing geopolitical complexities, making Pakistan a central figure in any regional stability discussions. This reality means that major powers, whether they admit it or not, often need Islamabad's cooperation in their strategic calculations. For Europe in particular, the location offers an often overlooked advantage, a potential hub for energy diversification and secure trade routes in a world where geopolitical tensions can quickly disrupt supply lines. As global power balances shift, and as nations look for new routes that avoid overdependence on any single power bloc, Pakistan's geographic reality is transforming from a historic battleground into a valuable bridge, one that quietly draws the attention of decision makers across continents. With a population exceeding 240 million, Pakistan is home to one of the largest and youngest demographics in the world. And this reality is steadily attracting the attention of world leaders and global investors. More than 60% of its people are under the age of 30, a demographic advantage that many developed nations can no longer claim. This useful population is not only energetic, but increasingly connected, tech-savvy, and ambitious, creating a vast consumer base hungry for innovation, modern services, and new opportunities. In a world where aging populations are becoming an economic challenge, Pakistan's demographic profile offers a rare advantage, a potential workforce and market that can drive growth for decades. Economically, Pakistan remains underexplored in many sectors, which means there is enormous room for expansion. The e-commerce market, for instance, is in its early growth stages, but internet penetration is rising rapidly due to affordable smartphones and expanding 4G and soon 5G networks. Global giants in retail, fintech, and logistics are watching closely as digital adoption accelerates, because a market this size with such low saturation represents an opening to shape consumer behavior from the ground up. Similarly, the renewable energy sector is ripe for development. Pakistan's abundant sunlight, strong wind corridors, and hydropower potential remain largely untapped. Agriculture is another cornerstone, with fertile lands that could support far higher productivity through modern farming techniques and supply chain improvements. For countries dependent on food imports, Pakistan's potential as a source of affordable agricultural products is becoming increasingly significant, especially as climate change disrupts traditional production hubs. Beyond agriculture, sectors like manufacturing, textiles, pharmaceuticals, and IT services are attracting renewed interest as companies search for alternatives to over-reliance on a handful of Asian manufacturing centers. The key point is that Pakistan offers both scale and growth potential. Its domestic market alone can sustain large-scale industries, while its location allows those industries to easily connect to international markets. For European investors and policymakers, this represents an opportunity to build long-term partnerships that serve both commercial and strategic interests. In an era where finding untapped markets with a strong growth trajectory is rare, Pakistan's combination of youth, ambition, and potential is beginning to shift it from the periphery of global economic thinking toward a more central position in future planning. The China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, known as CPEC, has transformed Pakistan's role in global trade from a regional participant to a critical link in a much larger network of connectivity. At its heart, CPEC is more than just a series of infrastructure projects. It is a strategic reimagining of how goods, energy, and people can move across continents. So, Tom Allen, by connecting China's western region of Xinjiang directly to Pakistan's Gwadar port on the Arabian Sea, CPEC provides one of the shortest possible routes from the interior of Asia to open waters, bypassing long and vulnerable maritime paths such as the Strait of Malacca. This has enormous implications for global commerce, particularly for nations seeking efficiency and resilience in supply chains. Gwadar port itself sits at a location of immense strategic value, close to the Persian Gulf and within reach of some of the busiest shipping lanes in the world. For Europe, which depends heavily on energy imports and is constantly seeking ways to reduce transit times and costs, a functioning trade and energy route through Pakistan could offer a competitive advantage instead of relying entirely on existing routes that are crowded, politically sensitive, or geographically risky. This corridor presents an alternative pathway that is both shorter and potentially more secure. Beyond China's involvement, CPEC is encouraging broader regional integration. Roads, railways, pipelines, and fiber optic networks being built under the initiative can eventually link not just China and Pakistan, but also connect Central Asia, the Middle East, and South Asia. This interconnectivity is precisely what many global powers are seeking in an age where trade partnerships are diversifying and the global economy is no longer dominated by a single route or block. The ability to move goods from Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan to European markets via Pakistan, or to supply energy from the Gulf through Pakistan infrastructure, could reshape trade patterns. CPEC also carries diplomatic weight. By hosting a project of such magnitude, Pakistan has positioned itself as a central player in the Belt and Road Initiative, a position that forces even those nations outside the project to take note. For European policymakers, ignoring such a logistical and geopolitical hub would be short-sighted, especially as the world moves toward a multipolar economic order where access and connectivity are as valuable as raw resources. In this evolving landscape, the networks emerging from Pakistan have the potential to influence trade flows for decades to come. Pakistan's influence in regional stability is rooted in both its geography and its diplomatic positioning, making it a pivotal actor in some of the most sensitive and consequential geopolitical matters of the 21st century. Sitting at the crossroad of South Asia, Central Asia, and the Middle East, Pakistan shares borders with Afghanistan, Iran, India, and China, countries whose relationships shape the political and economic balance of the entire region. This proximity to multiple conflict-prone areas has historically made Pakistan a stakeholder, whether in resolving tensions, facilitating dialogue, or managing crises that have global implications. One of the most prominent examples is Pakistan's role in the Afghanistan peace process. As a neighbor with deep historical, cultural, and political ties to Afghanistan, Pakistan has acted as both a mediator and an influencer in efforts to bring stability after decades of conflict. This role has drawn the attention of powers such as the United States, China, Russia, and members of the European Union, all of whom recognize that sustainable peace in Afghanistan cannot be achieved without Pakistan's engagement. In the realm of counterterrorism, Pakistan has been both a front-light state and a partner for many international initiatives aimed at dismantling extremist networks that threaten regional and global security. Its intelligence networks and military capabilities have often been leveraged in joint operations or intelligence sharing with global partners, making it a key part of the security architecture in the region. Relations with Iran also add a layer of complexity and opportunity. Pakistan shares a long border with Iran, and its ability to maintain working relations despite global tensions is of interest to countries seeking alternative diplomatic channels with Tehran. Similarly, its historical rivalry with India, while a source of instability, also makes Pakistan an unavoidable consideration in any discussion about South Asian peace and security, especially regarding Kashmir and water sharing agreements. For Europe, Pakistan's stabilizing potential lies in its capacity to bridge divides between nations that often find themselves at odds, whether it is facilitating dialogue between Gulf states, playing a role in China-Middle East connectivity, or working to prevent cross-border militancy. Pakistan occupies a space where its choices can directly influence the likelihood of conflict or cooperation. This unique position, built on a mix of geographic leverage, military capability, and diplomatic engagement, ensures that its role in regional stability cannot be ignored by any serious global actor. Pakistan's natural resource wealth places it in a unique position at a time when the world is undergoing a rapid shift toward cleaner energy and advanced technologies. Beneath its soil lie significant deposits of copper, gold, and rare earth minerals, as well as lithium, an increasingly critical component in batteries that power everything from smartphones to electric vehicles. As Europe and other regions accelerate their transition away from fossil fuels, the demand for such minerals is surging, and countries with untapped reserves are becoming strategic priorities for global powers. Pakistan's mineral-rich regions, particularly in Balochistan and the northern areas, remain largely underdeveloped, offering a potential supply source that could help diversify and secure the global energy and technology supply chain. In addition to minerals, Pakistan's renewable energy potential is considerable. Its geographic diversity provides abundant sunlight in its southern plains, strong and consistent wind corridors along its coastline, and significant hydropower capacity from its river systems and mountainous terrain. For countries like those in Europe which are seeking international partnerships to meet climate commitments and energy security goals, Pakistan presents a compelling opportunity to collaborate on solar farms, wind projects, and hydroelectric infrastructure. Such investments not only help meet renewable energy targets, but also reduce dependence on unstable energy suppliers and congested shipping routes. Natural gas and coal reserves, while less aligned with global decarbonization goals, still offer short-term energy security benefits for nations balancing the pace of their energy transition. Pakistan's strategic position also allows it to act as a transit hub for pipelines, linking energy-rich countries like Iran and Turkmenistan to broader markets, potentially creating a more secure and diversified energy network. Water resources are another critical but often overlooked aspect. As water scarcity becomes an increasingly global concern, Pakistan's glacial reserves and river systems position it as an important player in regional water management and agricultural production. For food insecure regions or those reliant on agricultural imports, this could translate into stronger trade links and long-term partnerships. The combination of mineral wealth, renewable energy capacity, and strategic transit potential gives Pakistan an edge in an era where energy, technology, and sustainability agendas are intertwined. This blend of resources and location creates a foundation for collaborations that can serve mutual economic and environmental interests, especially for partners seeking reliable and future-oriented supply lines. The global balance of power is shifting toward a multipolar order where no single country or alliance dominates. And in this emerging landscape, Pakistan is becoming an increasingly valuable partner for nations seeking flexibility and balance in their foreign relations. For much of the post-Cold War era, global politics revolved around a unipolar structure led by the United States and its allies. However, with the rise of China, the resurgence of Russia, the growing influence of regional blocs like BRICS and the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, and the assertiveness of middle powers in Asia, Africa, and Latin America, the global stage is now more fragmented and competitive. Pakistan's appeal in this environment lies in its ability to engage across multiple spheres without being fully absorbed into any single bloc. It maintains strong ties with China through projects like CPEC, but also retains diplomatic channels with the United States and Europe. At the same time, it participates in multilateral organizations such as the SCO, which includes both China and Russia, while keeping cooperative relations with Gulf countries and key players in the Muslim world. This balancing act allows Pakistan to serve as a bridge between rival powers, offering channels of communication and collaboration that might otherwise remain closed. For European nations in particular, Pakistan's positioning offers strategic value. Europe is increasingly aware of the risks of over-dependence on a narrow set of partners for trade energy, and security. Pakistan's openness to diversified partnerships means it can be a node in alternative supply chains, energy routes, and diplomatic dialogues that reduce vulnerability to geopolitical shocks. Its relationships also give it influence in regions where Europe has limited direct reach, such as Central Asia, the Gulf, and parts of East Asia. This flexibility is amplified by the fact that global alliances are no longer strictly ideological. They are pragmatic, driven by shared interest rather than shared political systems. Pakistan's ability to navigate between East and West without fully committing to either side makes it attractive to those who want to keep their options open in an uncertain future. In a world where competition between major powers is intensifying, the ability to work with a country that maintains connections across divides is not just a convenience, it is a strategic necessity. In the end, what makes Pakistan impossible to ignore is not just one factor. It is the combination of its geography, its young and ambitious population, its growing role in regional connectivity, its capacity to influence stability in one of the world's most complex regions, its wealth of resources for the next era of technology and energy, and its unique position in an evolving multipolar world. Each of these elements on its own is valuable, but together they form a picture of a country quietly becoming indispensable to the strategic calculations of world leaders. The world is changing, alliances are shifting, and the nations that adapt will define the future. Pakistan, once seen mainly through the lens of its challenges, is increasingly being recognized for its potential, and those who understand this early will be the ones to benefit the most. I wish you success in your journey of understanding and engaging with the opportunities the future holds. Thank you for listening, and may good fortune guide you in every step you take.